This show is all about main character energy.
You are listening to the Fatima Scipio Show.
You have the opportunity to do something really big.
Get ready for real conversations, real laughter, and real inspiration.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to the show. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Fatima Scipio Show. I am so glad you are here. Well, it's the first of the month. Get up, get up, get up. Yes, it's the first of the month. It's February, the month of love, Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Yes, and I am just getting ready for a month of amazing events and time shared with family and friends. I was thinking about something the other day, and I was thinking about, there was a time when music and musicians wrote songs that told stories about the current times we're living in, the struggles, the triumph, the good, the bad, the ugly. Music has always played a huge part in bringing people together and also speaking out against injustice. In the 60s, you had Sam Cooke with A Change is Going to Come. In the 70s, you had Marvin Gaye with What's Going On. And then you had Gil Scott Heron, who talked about the revolution will not be televised. And let me tell you something, Gil Scott Heron was one of my dad's favorite artists. In the 80s, we had KRS One, we had Public Enemy, and one day I'll tell you about the time that I was in the Public Enemy Fight the Power video. Yes, I was. We had Grandmaster Flash. We had the song, remember, We Are the World, We Are the Children, with all the iconic stars like Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Cyndi Lauper, Lionel Richie. I mean, oh my gosh, I know I'm forgetting people, Quincy Jones, but there were so many iconic people who played a role in that huge song. And look, I'm only giving a few examples. There were many diverse artists who used their talents and gifts to speak to the world about what we were witnessing in real time. Music and art created by talented people were and are and can be instrumental in building relationships with those who are different from us, right? Coming together through strings on a guitar or the boom boom cack on a drum. And so I'm just wondering, and I don't know if you are wondering, and you can let me know in the comments, but where's the music? Where's the art? Where are the movies that speak to the current times we are living in? The art, the music, the movies that bring us together rather than divide us. And so I propose this question. Are we really divided by values or just unwilling to sit with perspectives that don't match our own? And, before we get into the big conversation of today, I just got a quick question to ask. Are any of you Netflix or Lifetime snobs like me? Because did y'all watch His and Hers on Netflix? Because if you didn't, I think you should. Look, I binged watched it. I watched all 6 episodes. And baby, when I tell you, that was some good casting. And look, so I'm not going to spoil it, but just to kind of give you a little hint, it was about 2 estranged married couple. One was Detective John Harper. He was played by John Bertha. I think I'm saying his name correctly, but you all may know him as Shane Walsh in the hit TV show The Walking Dead. And his wife in the movie was Anna Andrews, and she, that role was played by Tessa Thompson. And let me just say, Tessa girl, you a wow girl in my Martin Lawrence voice. Because all I'm going to say is, and not to spoil it, like I said, for those who didn't see it, but Tessa, girl, yes, she did a very good job in her role. So, claps to Tessa. And then the other of one of my other favorites that I really like, Crystal Fox. You all may know her as Hannah Young on Tyler Perry's Have and Have Nots. She was good. And when I say good, I mean it with the T at the end. I really just love her raspy voice, and she's just really like a bold actress to me. But anyway, go watch it and let me know what you think in the comments. Now, listen, how would y'all feel if I started teaching a Pig Latin class? Because the way they have AI set up to be able to mock your voice is insane. So I'm about to be out here teaching some Pig Latin, talking about some it may, on nay, on yank mate, I a yay, okay? Because we gotta talk in code language. I don't know how I feel about having AI cloning my voice, right? Just the other day when I was on Twitter, yes, I still call it Twitter. X to me seems a little bit boring and bland. But anyway, I was on Twitter and I saw a post that said a group of AI agents. Now, hear me out. These are AI agents that started their own group on social media, and they're having conversations about humans? Like, what? What are we talking about? Look, y'all know I instantly thought of the movie Terminator, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you didn't see that. And Transformers. Like, what are we talking about? So, the University of Tennessee, Knoxville released an article about the rising threats of AI voice cloning. And according to the article, this involves training a model on audio samples of a person's speech. This They do this to generate synthetic voice outputs that mimic a person's tone, their cadence and inflection, and then within minutes of recorded speech, the attackers can create a convincing voice replica capable of deceiving even your own family members. Okay? So these scammers are out here impersonating family members in distress, calling grandparents, asking for emergency funds. I mean, like, look, if somebody called me asking for emergency funds, look, I'm already going to give you the hairy eyebrow. Like, what? Excuse me? What? What are we talking about here? So, the article says, there are some suggestions that they give us, but my initial suggestion is that, you know, we need to sharpen our discernment skills, because deception is very, very real. That's my opinion. But here's what the article suggests that we can do to protect ourselves. So they say we should limit our audio exposure. And now look, I know that that's tough for many of us because we are in our content creator era, but I think we should just be a little bit cognizant of where we're putting our audio. They suggest that we verify suspicious calls or voice messages. So if your gut tells you that a call doesn't feel right, then just text the person they are pretending to be to confirm that it's them. Just like you do when you get those suspicious social media requests from accounts making, masking as someone, The third thing they say is don't act on urgency alone. This is so important for our older adults. If you have older relatives, please share this information with them, because our seniors are the main group of people being targeted by these scammers. So many seniors have been scammed out of thousands and thousands of dollars. So we need to educate them on what to do if they're getting an urgency call from somebody pretending to be their grandchild, their child, or some other relative. And listen, I'm not trying to scare you or make you fearful of AI, because we can't fear AI. but we definitely need to understand it and develop our AI literacy skills to keep up, because it's here and it's not going anywhere, right? Okay. So look, we're a month into the new year, and I'm just wondering how many of you are keeping up with your New Year's resolution. See, I don't make resolutions, but I did commit to no sugar for the next 60 days. And so I'm asking y'all to pray for me, because my relationship with the nothing but cakes is no joke. Those cakes are so good. And this is not an ad. I just really love those cakes. Anywho, can I be a bit transparent? So, a few weeks ago, I was praying, asking God, what should I do? Excuse me. I've been watching people on social media become victims of rage baiting, trolling, and misinformation. I've seen people blinded by celebrity culture and hate speech. And, it's no secret that our country is divided by ideology, amongst other contributing factors. I've watched with my own eyes the impact of propaganda and disinformation, and it got me to wondering, are we really divided by our values, or just unwilling to sit with perspectives that don't match our own? Because if we're honest, we don't just disagree anymore. People just don't disagree anymore. Now, if you're like on active on social media, somebody may unfollow you. You may get blocked. I mean, people are cutting people off. I mean, can you believe that people are cutting their own family members off because of their opinions in some circumstances? I mean, look, I'm not telling people what to do, but I'm just saying people are having disagreements with their own family members and about whatever, and they're totally cutting them off. People are curating tighter circles that the only voices we hear are the ones that already sound like us. And listen, boundaries are healthy, protecting your peace matters. Not every conversation deserves your energy. And look, I'm queen of that. I work very hard to protect my energy. And I know when to kind of nicely remove myself from conversations that seem like they are not fruitful and that they are not going anywhere. But I do think there's a difference between protecting your peace and avoiding discomfort. Discomfort doesn't always mean danger. Sometimes discomfort is just growth knocking. You know, Here's the part I don't think we talk about enough. It's easier to stand in our truth when nobody challenges it, right? It's easier to feel right when everyone around us agrees with us. In some situations they say, you got a bunch of yes men or yes women around you. But growth doesn't happen in an echo chamber. Perspective doesn't deepen in isolation. And connection doesn't survive if similarity becomes the price of admission. So if I can only connect with people who are the same as me, how am I growing as an individual? How am I learning? And I personally believe that you can learn anything from anybody, even people you disagree with. Some of the most meaningful growth in my life has come from sitting across from people who see the world differently than I do. Even my own siblings, not to be convinced, not to convert anybody, but simply to just understand. Because I believe, in my opinion, that understanding, it doesn't weaken your values. It strengthens your discernment. So wait a minute. So maybe maybe the real question isn't why are we so divided? Maybe the better question is, have we lost the skill of staying in the room when the conversation gets uncomfortable? Because staying in the room is a skill. You got to have some sort of control over yourself to stay in a room. Listening without interrupting is a skill. And I'll raise my hand to say that is something that I'm working on. Uh, and I think that I've been doing a little bit better with that and not interrupting people because I want to get my point across. Uh, Disagreeing without dehumanizing is a skill. I don't have to call you a name in order to get my point across. Holding your values without hardening your heart is a skill. You can still have your values, but don't harden your heart where information is not received. And I believe these skills can be practiced. Like I said, I've been practicing a lot of the skills as I've been, learning more about myself. So what do we do? Because if you're all paying attention, what's currently going on, it's not working. And so here are a few ways I propose we move forward together. And then I would love to know what you think. But first, I think we have to get curious instead of defensive. So when someone is disagreeing with us, it's not for us to kind of jump on them and chomp them down because we want to express ourselves, but just being curious. Curiosity changes the tone of every conversation. So maybe instead of saying, no, that's wrong, you're wrong, excuse me, maybe we could help the conversation flow if we said, well, help me understand how you see this. Secondly, separate like people from positions, right? You can disagree with someone's perspective without dismissing their humanity. I mean, a few months ago, I was on Twitter and I just randomly came across a post that someone said, or maybe they were commenting on something, and then I just kind of applied to them. And when I tell you that I was attacked, and listen up, if I didn't have a good sense of self, if I didn't have confidence and know who I am and whose I am, I mean, I probably would have ran off of Twitter crying like a baby because they really try to tear me up. I mean, they zoomed into my picture. They were talking about my roots. I don't know, maybe my roots aren't the best, but they really try to rip me apart. So, yeah, I think that we can disagree with a perspective without calling people names and trying to dismiss their humanity. The third thing I think is that we should look for shared values before shared opinions because the two are not the same. You might disagree on the how, but often you may agree on why. So if we are talking and we talk about the things that we value, like maybe safety, family, dignity, freedom, stability, those are shared values that I think are bridges if they can be bridges if we choose to walk across them. And then the other thing is maybe practice soft listening. Not listening to respond, not listening to win, but listening to understand what shaped someone's view. And I'll tell you, I'm always curious about how did a person come to that conclusion or that viewpoint. I'm always asking questions. I again believe that learning is a lifelong process. I don't think I know everything. I don't think any of us knows everything. And so when you are having conversations, that's how you learn, that's how you grow. And so finally, I'll say regarding these tips on what we could do is, check your own posture. Ask yourself, am I entering conversations to connect or to prove that I'm right? Now, I'll be honest, I like to be right. There's no secret there, and I've been working on that. I've been working on being right all the time. But here's the thing. 99% of the time, I'm right. But seriously. Um constantly asking myself, what are my intentions when I'm expressing my beliefs or my views? Because proving you're right, it may win you in that moment, but connection builds something, I believe, that lasts a little bit longer. And listen. We don't have to agree on everything to walk forward together. We don't have to think the same to treat each other with dignity. We are not the same. I grew up in a household, it was four of us. We all came from the same mother and father, but as individuals, we have some similarities and then we have some differences. And that is what I think makes us so unique. So no, we don't have to think the same. We just need to treat each other with dignity. And we don't have to abandon our values to make room for other people's humanity. You don't have to compromise your integrity for any of this. The goal isn't sameness. The goal is maturity. The goal is learning how to sit at tables that don't always echo our beliefs and still show up as whole, grounded, thoughtful human beings. And so maybe today we don't ask, how do I change their mind? Because that's not the goal, right? Maybe we ask, how do I show up in a way that keeps the door open? Because healing, to me, again, in my opinion, it doesn't start with agreement. It starts with presence. And presence is a choice we get to make every day. We get to decide, how are we going to show up? And so here's what I want to leave you with to ponder. What shared value do you think could help bring people together right now, even when opinions don't align? So think about, what I'm asking, and then just do your part. I always say, we will not be accountable or held accountable for what others say and do. We will be held accountable by what we say and what we do. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the Fatima Scipio Show.